back, everyone, to Tony and Tina's Wedding Creating a Theater Tribe. I'm Larry.
And I'm Gret. We are so excited to keep exploring how Tony and Tina's wedding has grown, reaching new cities and expanding the family.
I'm Concetta, and today we're bringing you a special episode focused on the tour that keeps the spirit alive across the country.
We're thrilled to welcome Tony Lauria, the talented director of many of the current Tony and Tina's Wedding tour productions, and Micah Spayer, one of the incredible performers who brings this wedding to life on the road.
Tony's continued work on the show has kept the magic going far beyond the original run and has brought in new family members from across the country.
And later in the episode, we'll be talking to Micah, a performer who's been with the tour for a while, playing the iconic role of the wedding singer, Donny Dolce.
So put on your best snakeskin suit
and get those dance moves ready,
because episode 6 starts now.
Hi, everybody. So happy today to introduce our guest, Tony Lauria, who I have not seen since 1999. He just reminded me of that, but who has been involved with Tony and Tina's Wedding. When did you first begin working with Tony and Tina's Wedding, Tony?
So I was cast in 1991 as Michael Just, and Julie Cesari cast me. It was my second audition. I auditioned originally for Donny, which I didn't get. But anyway, so yeah, 1991. And then I left in 1996 and a half. I did 5.5 years straight.
And came back later.
Well, you think that you're done and you're moving on to other things. And I was working on a music career during the rest of the 90s and 2000s, but Kevin Alexander would occasionally call and say, all right, we just booked this one thing. So we would do like one-offs, Larry, out of town, and it started down in Florida, and that was really, I think, for a convention or something, I forget. But then once a year we would do that, and then I think in like 2001, Flaherty and Joe Dallo came up with this model of Donny, Tony, Tina, and Vinny go out of town, hire locals that would bring in the community. And they were thinking, sell more tickets, of course, and it did. But it also created something else that we'll get into. So yeah, and then in 2000, I was doing it with Kevin. Kevin was mostly directing. I was assisting him. And then I started production managing it through EEI. Then Kevin got busy and I started directing. I started casting for him, and then he let me start directing. And then it just kept going, and like it is year to year, ebbs and flows. I call it a loop that, I jump back on a bunch of times a year, which I know all of you folks know what that I'm talking about. Yeah, I thought I left in 96 and here we are 26, 30 years later.
I mean, it gets you. It hooks you and keeps you.
It does.
Listen, it was 30 years of just fun on the road with friends. With Concetta, we did so many together, and so she played everybody. It was always so much fun.
Yes, we are nominating Concetta to be Mrs. Vitale in 5 years.
Thank you. What an honor.
I find it interesting, Tony, though, that one of the things that you've been able to do is that you've been able to take people who began as Tina and make them Mrs. Vitale now.
Well, Justine did it, but the first arm that I had to twist, so to speak, was Denise Fennell in New York in 2014, and it took a lot of twisting. But it turned out to be this wonderful thing.
Right. You were right.
Listen, what I was going for, Larry, is the updated Mrs. V, mob wives, straight hair. I just saw Denise. I was like, yes, but your daughter, okay, well, the actor that didn't maybe look young enough for her, but Denise knows how to put it on and act older.
Yeah.
I thought she was just great, and Denise and Concetta were really the only ones mentioned in the Times review. So hell, man,
No, she was phenomenal. She was phenomenal in that.
We were talking about Denise with Mark Nasser because I cast Denise in Boston, and she played Maddie, and she never ever came to the show and didn't give 100%. You know, she's one of those people that just has so much life and so much fun. And listen, she married into the show, so right?
Yeah.
How is it directing these two productions? So it's Milwaukee and Seattle, because there was a fantastic article about you, which we have to get out there and promote.
The company out in Seattle, Lit Immersive, that's putting it up. Yeah, I mean, they got a good marketing machine. Anyway, it was really nice. But to get back to your question, they're two completely different productions, essentially, and what makes it possible to be in two places at once. I was in Milwaukee last week for 2 nights to put up the finishing touches. I'd stay on Atina and New Bridesmaids that we're putting up in Milwaukee. So it's like 4 put-ins to a cast that I've been working with on and off. Concetta's worked with them since 2007, some of them.
Wow.
They're amazing.
So 19 years, and some of them have aged through the characters as well. One of which, this wonderful actor, Anthony Schwader, who showed up in 2007, and he started as Mickey Black, and he's opening as Vinnie Black.
Oh, how fantastic.
Yeah,
Milwaukee is a great theater city.
yeah.
Because when we did the national tour of Tony and Tina's Wedding, that was one of our stops. I love the sense of the Midwest audience. I think that they're really great. They come after the show with no pretenses and they just come to enjoy it.
Milwaukee was kind of exceptional for us, Larry, because we did it in this really cool place where they have concerts called Turner Hall. So anyway, we did it there for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Every other year, they would bring us back for a week. So we kind of had a thing going there for a while. But now it's in a catering hall called the Fitzgerald, which is an old building from like 1880 that has a ballroom, and we've done it the last couple of years there. It's maybe my 4th or 5th favorite city, because they got great food there too, man, and music. It's a great music town, and I've met some extraordinary people there that I know. Concetta, if I may, can I go on a little bit about this?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was this one man, Anthony Macchi. Larry, it was one of those things. I was in town for casting, and they have a casino there, and it's karaoke night. I'm like, oh God, okay, I'll leave after this drink. And this old guy gets up there, and he sings this really difficult Sinatra song. I can't think of the name of it, but it's a really hard song to sing. And he just took my attention, and I'm watching him, and I didn't have an Uncle Louie. So I'm watching. Larry, he had everything that you want in an actor to play this character. There was no acting necessary with this guy. He was just so authentic. He wore a bow tie. I didn't know how old he was. He looked old, right? Anyway, so I had my number ready. He walks off stage, and he's walking towards the bar, and as he's getting closer, I was like, oh God, this guy's old. But I walk up to him, I'm like, hey, excuse me, listen, I'm directing a show at Turner Hall, and you're right for, I don't know if you have any interest. He's like, just keeps walking, and I'm talking to him as he's walking. And I was like, here's my phone number. And he was like, yeah. And he just kept walking. Poor guy, I don't know. Anyway, he calls me the next day. And I explained what it was, and he came down. Turns out this guy was like a legend in Milwaukee. He was a music promoter there. He was also the president of the Italian social club there, which is this huge thing across the highway. Anyway, long story long, we became close. And he did like 3 or 4 of the productions.
Yeah.
Every night, during My Way, if I was doing it or if Micah was doing it, he would come up and sing it with him. It was just one of those people that you meet. He was in his 90s, Larry, when he was doing the show. He made it to 99, I think.
I think that one of the things that's wonderful about the play is that you can specialize different scenarios. Like you can have Uncle Louie sing that song. It's not often that you cast somebody in a show and then you're like, oh, well, they can do this too, so I'll let them do that. Usually you find somebody to cast to learn the lines and whatever. But Tony and Tina's Wedding, it's always been so much fun to be able to see what else you can pull to make that production unique. Because I also think that for us as directors and creators of companies of the show, it's really fun to have that kind of thing happen. So it's not just cookie cutter, because the show has never been that. It's able to be special for each production.
Larry, yeah, exactly. And I do the same thing, man. And I think that that is, for me, has kept it interesting. You know, if I knew somebody played the clarinet or whatever, I would have them play Beauty and the Beast or Tina's Thing or whatever. Whatever their strength was, I tried to have that character or the correct character in casting. If I find this out in casting, then know where to steer them. And I think Concetta also, I think, back me up and say, I like kooky and absurd and, you know, and I think that there's room for that. And getting back to what you said, again, that's what I think has made it possible to do this for so long, is because it's a living organism that has to change. Otherwise, it's a period piece. And you have the room to create with the actors. And man, that's been the gas for me, and the laughs.
Yeah, while the show is really the same that it's always been, your audience changes. So their appetite today is very different than what their appetite was when we began. You know, you say that you like kooky, but I kind of think that you'd need to do that kind of a little bit broader participation today, because the audience in many ways, they expect that, because I mean, everything around us is broad and kooky and crazy and outlandish.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's such a safe place to do it, you know,
It
to
is.
try those things and to see those things. It's so inclusive and it just feels natural. You know, you're talking about kooky, but it doesn't feel kooky when you're watching it. You're just like, oh my God, it's funny. And it goes with the world that you're living in there. But Tony, I wanted to ask you, what do you think is that thing? Because we've made jokes about it and stuff, but what do you think happens on the tour? Because you have these 4 actors coming in from predominantly New York or New York area, right? You have these 4 actors coming in and they're bringing their essence and what they've experienced themselves on the East Coast or whereabouts. And then you have these Midwesterners or West Coasters that have no experience with that, but there's a new magic that gets created and there's a new love and a new bond, as though we've all been together all along. If you could put that into words, like what happens there?
Okay, so in my experience, and it has been something to try and figure out how that happens, but I think it's as simple as this. First of all, it's a simple template about a wedding, so it's about fun, right? And it's kind of a party, but when you're bringing people that are, we're all actors and humans, and I know I'm going into a new show, what that feels like when you're meeting people and the director and you don't know anything, and what is this? And this type of show in particular, where until you have an audience, it's like nobody's laughing at where they're supposed to be laughing, et cetera, and there's a lot of vagueness, for lack of a better word, in between what the director is saying, okay, this is going to happen here. This is where you're going to start mingling, talking with tables, et cetera. But this is what I think happens. I don't know, it attracts a certain actor or performer or improver. And if the director and the company coming in leads with simply kindness, love, and inclusivity, and welcoming and hugging immediately, and letting everybody know, okay, and that's how I operate. So I just discovered that there's very little that can go wrong in this thing other than the tunes stopped playing. As long as there is music, this train can keep rolling. And that's what I try to tell the cast from the outset. Also, positive choices lead to, I think, more funny and positive interactions. Negative choices are the low-hanging fruit that I dissuade actors from the outset from doing. And just leading with love, man, it sounds really corny, but
no, but it's true.
I think it works.
True.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that in its original conception, there were many instances where choices were made that were negative, that were immediately squashed.
Right.
Because it always found a dead end.
Totally.
Right.
You know, the audience is an important character in this play. And if they feel that, they just don't go anywhere near it, but they really feel it. And I love that about the play.
Totally. And I always felt like negative choices lead to negative feelings, and it's not funny.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. It's
You
not.
know? And getting back to what Concetta said, just to expand on that a little bit more, then getting to work with some of the similar people again and again. And honestly, I think the folks in New York that you put together, that Julie put together, and those after, I guess, there was always in each cast, I think, a core of people that then started to blend together through Anthony Barilli and Justine's place. And
Yeah, yeah.
new family, bringing them into ours, and it's just coagulated, as I like to say. Listen, and also, here's the other really important ingredient. I think by nature, actors and people that want to do theater are just, good folk, man.
They are.
You know?
Yeah.
They are. They are. I always thought about that group, especially the group that you're talking about, the people that hung out at Three of Cups, and that they dedicated their life in many ways to this show. Not that they couldn't go out and audition for other things, because they could have. These are very talented people, but I think that what dedicated them to it was the feeling of family,
Totally.
and that you could do your day job if you had to have a day job or whatever, or raise your family, but come and have 2 or 3 hours of this kind of adult but childlike kind of environment where you can forget a lot of that shit.
Completely, Larry. I mean, listen, it's harder to go out of town for longer periods now because I'm older and my dogs don't understand.
Put dogs in the show.
There, I have
all it needs.
challenging
A couple of live
children.
animals.
I mean, I'm so surprised nobody has had Donna with a little dog purse. I mean, come on. If anyone's going to carry around a tiny dog.
Yeah, I know. It's the food thing.
I know. It just doesn't jive. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
That's
It's
Logistically doesn't work.
it's a great idea though.
right.
So also, getting back to Milwaukee, if I may, there's an actor that came to us in 2012 or 13. Her name is Stephanie Stazak, and she was Donna for many years, but she works a lot in Milwaukee, and she's going up as Tina
Oh wow.
a couple of weeks as well. She's just a star.
She's a doll.
And Micah is doing Donnie.
Oh yeah, you had to use him. Yeah.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Oh no, he's so great. So
Which brings me to that. So you've been in this role as director. You also perform as Donnie at the same time. So what's that like, performing while you're watching the whole show for directing notes and taking care of the rest
the
of
best view.
Yes, it is.
It is the best view.
You can see a lot. And having done this thousands of times, Concetta, you know where to look and what to see and what to look for. And my thing is this, and I know it's Larry's too, because I mean, we all learned it from him as well. And that is, if you are not engaging the audience and including them in everything and getting them up on the dance floor, I mean, that's my thing. It's like, well, that's your job. So I could see and still be, I still love playing that guy.
Yes.
I just
little
do.
green lizard.
Well, I don't wear that costume anymore, but
No, it's
kind of
my
aged out of
favorite.
that. No, it's finally
Got this
aged out of
amazing
spandex.
skin tight leather neon green spandex jumpsuit. I mean, it was
Yeah, I remember seeing
miraculous,
pictures.
with a cape.
So good.
Listen, okay, so I have to give credit where credit is due. Kevin Alexander was a big influence, certainly on me in my career in general. Certainly in comedy, he makes me laugh so hard. And,
Yes, he does.
And Tony Patelis in another way and other ways and in similar ways as well. They have different styles, but Kevin was the one that said, we were shopping and we were just walking in Haight-Ashbury because we were doing the show in Napa. It was just one of those cherry gigs, Larry, where oh, we're going to Napa. I can't afford to go there, but we're going to go there, eat some really expensive food and have a great time. But we were in San Francisco and we walk into one of these shops. It's essentially a drag queen shop, I guess. And we're looking at all this stuff, and Kevin, he was like, yeah, you should go in this direction. With him, I was like, oh, yeah, okay. He's like, you need a better costume. So he helped me pick that out. And then more is more with Lauria, as those who know me know. And I expanded with the cape, and, that's James Brown. Just, everything that I feel like I've done in that character was definitely pulled from someone either doing it in real life as a rock star or a lounge person that I've seen, real people doing all those insipid things, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Donny was a wannabe rock star. And even in the very beginning, Michael Winter was very white and very conservative. And the thing that made Michael great in that role is that not that Michael wanted to be a rock star, but Michael wanted to be a professional singer. But it's that earnestness. It's that I'll do whatever it takes to be able to get it. And I think that it's great that you make these changes because you're living in the world of this theater and in these cities, and singers are different today than they were when this show began.
Right.
And to be able to understand that and respect that, I think is great. It's just.
Well, thanks, Larry. I'm fortunate that I grew up a musician. I mean, that's the other thing that I've done in my life, and I have that musicality muscle. And I always, since I'm a child, riffed on songs. And whether I liked them or not, it's just like a brain worm or whatever. I bastardized things. I always did. And maybe when I saw Bill Murray for the first time, I mean, that's probably where it started for sure. Anyway, so I was able to make fun of, to me, it was like the American Idol pop culture of style of singing that this show had to go into, with riffing on every note, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't have the classical chops to do that, but I do it in a comedic way that I think people have enjoyed over the years. And Micah, for instance, has a classically trained sounding voice that he can do all that stuff for real in his own insipid comedic way.
He's funny.
Oh,
he is.
If
so
I can
damn
say
funny.
this, he won't watch this, but
Sure he will.
I feel like he's.
If he knows we talked well about him.
If he knows he's on this, he'll talk.
Yeah, right. Oh my, he knows what I think about him, but I feel like that was I found a diamond.
Yeah, well, he's clear. When he performs, he's absolutely clear. And that's such a unique trait because actors typically aren't as clear as Micah is. He's just, it's a gift.
He commits to the choice, whatever the
choice
is, whether you are into it or not, he commits to the choice in such a way that you see his point. Even if you don't like it, you see he just commits in a way that it's rare, I think.
For me, with him, it's how he makes me laugh. I mean, it's that. And then, he could sing too. And he is precise. I remember when I was rehearsing him in New York, and he didn't realize yet how free he was, Larry. And I hope he recalls the same thing, because what I recall is saying, dude, I'm giving you room here, open it up. I need it bigger. You're like, just bigger. And I mean, it was there, obviously. It's not anything I'm trying to take credit for. And then it was like, oh God, I got to pull him back. Yeah. Because, but I like the way his brain thinks comedically, and it's insane. And that's what I like.
Yes, it is. Tony, so you're going to be performing in Seattle, though. Will you do the whole run?
Yeah, I'm going to do it. So they were started out as a week, then it was turned into 2, and now it's 3.
Is there a steady cast out there, or are there people who?
So I've worked. Getting back to what we were speaking about earlier, I've worked with a cast out on the Pacific Northwest. Some of them since 2006 or 7 as well. Oh, wow. However, Lit Immersive is their own company. They generally produce their own stuff. This time they did it through Joe Corcoran because they wanted the OG of immersive, right?
Yeah.
So they also wanted to use a lot of their own people, which I understood. And I said, okay, bring them. So Joey, who you may have worked with, Jeremy Dupia is playing Joey, and Bjorn Anders, who's done a bunch of productions at casinos, he's going to be Dominic. And
That's cool.
I think that's it. Yeah. So there's a couple returning, but so Larry, they don't have the capacity there, so we had to trim down the cast for this and eliminate a couple of characters. In this case, we don't have a nun, which was a tough choice to make.
Yeah, I've done it without her too.
We've done it in an emergency.
Yeah.
It's not the
Right.
funnest, but you can do it.
Well,
Yeah.
so out in San Francisco, I tried it out because they needed to do the same thing, and I had an actor, Donna, open up, because she's a singer or whatever. I kind of gave her a few sentences to work around, and I said, okay, this is where you got to get to. This is the reason it's happening. So it was like Kim Kardashian up there doing it, teaching it, and she just killed from opening night. And I'm out there watching Larry because I was nervous about it. Like, okay, how's this going to play? And her name is Allison Hagen, and I just put her up as Tina in Florida. Anyway, she rocked it. And yeah, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the only people that know it's different are you and other cast members
Right.
who've seen the show.
Right.
And one of the issues with Sister Albert Maria is that young nuns really don't wear that habit anymore. But we tried it. We tried changing the habit. Have you changed the habit?
No, still.
You're not you've changed it to Donna, right? Okay, so but we tried changing it to what the habit is today, because Juan used to order all of those habits from a company in New York, and then the company closed because they changed all of that. But you can't really do another costume. People, I don't know, they think she's a Quaker or whatever,
etc.
Yeah, and so we have kept it. I really have tried in my life, whenever I can, to consider Terry as that she was adopted by her parents. So I love to bring her in as Black. I love to bring her in as Asian, because she doesn't have to be blood related. And that was how I began to get a little bit of diversity in there. You can do that in this play. And that is the one thing that's nice about it. And, the audience isn't going, oh, shit, I want my money back. There wasn't a goddamn nun. Okay, they're not doing that because they don't know for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, I have a great story if you want to hear it.
Yes.
Okay, so Kevin and I are in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Kevin was directing. He went out ahead and cast it. So I walk in, and Kevin walks over to me and he says, you see the woman over there? African-American woman over there? I was like, yeah. He said, I picked, he didn't have the photo. He picked the wrong name. He was trying to cast another woman that was not African-American, right?
Oh, no.
Well, it turns out that the sheet was so fantastic. And
Who
the
was she
audience
playing?
crazy.
She was playing Grandma?
So they played it that his great grandfather, was married to an African American. And she was just so lovely. Scotty and Denise were on that one. And it was just like when we found out that Kevin came over.
Oh, that's
It
funny.
was just one of those
Scotty,
moments, man.
Oh
And
my
it turned
gosh.
out it was kismet, because she was just brilliant. But as far as diversity goes, Kevin and I also did a production down in Richmond in the early 2000s, and the whole bridal party was African American, because those are the actors that showed up and worked. It was beautiful. It was Scotty and Denise again, and the Dominic was just, they were all just the prototypes, Larry. Just a different skin color.
Yeah, we did Bermuda, and really the whole Vitale family was Black Bermudian, and the whole Nunzio family was white Bermudian. So,
Wow.
and I think I've told you guys this story, but I was like casting, and I'd be like, okay, you on that side. This is to one of the white Bermudian actors, and you on that side. And finally, this woman who I cast as Loretta said, you can say Blacks on this side and whites on this side. This isn't America. We don't care about that.
Oh.
We want to be on our own side. Yeah, that was really the first time I had done that, and it felt so natural because that's the way it is, first of all, in Bermuda. But it was a pleasure to see that, to
Yeah.
see something like that really work.
Yeah, I've been lucky in these towns. And getting back to what Concetta asked before about how does this love thing fest happen, man, there's just across this country, their dreams may not be to be on Broadway or to go to Hollywood or whatever, but there's so many talented people
Oh God,
around
yeah.
this country that I have been so lucky to perform with and find some of them and become friends and family members with, and then get to do it with a bunch of times. Sometimes it's really hurried, as Concetta would say. It's just like we get in there, it's like we got to put this up in 2 hours with folks that haven't done it in a year. I mean, I Zoom them now, so it's nice to have that
Yeah.
as a tool to
Yeah.
get folks
Great.
ready, and
So
so
great.
that when we're there, we're putting it up expediently. But it's like hurried, and yet everything just comes together.
It always does.
Yeah,
It's
it really does, especially if you have people who just commit to it.
these prototypes, and then, okay, they look different, of course. Not everybody looks the same, but it's like, that's a Dominic, that's a Barry, there's Johnny.
Right.
They're just there.
Yeah.
And so even when you're casting, or you put your cast together, Larry, and you show up the first day, we have this just built-in simpatico, we think, with them that they don't have with us yet. I have this comfortability with them. It's like, okay, there's Dominic. Say, hey, man, I want to hug.
Right.
It's because I feel like I've been with this personal
Yeah.
prototype for the last 30, you longer. So, do you know what I mean? I mean, you just
Yep.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I've been working with this person for 30 years. So I have a comfortability that's just built in. And maybe that translates to getting other people to feel comfortable, Concetta, pretty quickly as well.
I've never had the experience of directing the show for a short run.
Hmm.
And I was always looking at the long game. And then when they send you to some place like Kansas City, which has a lot of great actors, but not a single Italian, really. Okay, so
Right.
they have some, but
I know.
you begin to look in a different way. But I think that you have a harder job because getting somebody to do all of that in a short amount of time, that can't be easy.
Well, some are harder than others. Certainly putting up a new cast, yeah, as you know, is the hardest to convince and get them rolling the way you need them to roll. But generally, if we're returning to a town, there's going to be some folks that have done it with me already. They
Yeah.
certainly help. And so here's the other part, getting back to what you said earlier, Larry, how the show has morphed and where it has to be, in some cases, bigger to reflect today's times and stuff. Okay, so we have Donnie that they can always look at if there's something not happening yet, or if they're eating or on the road. Then we have Vinny, right? And Tony and Tina that can move this machine from moment to moment until
Yeah.
the rest of them can get up to speed. And honestly, opening night is generally a dress rehearsal, but
They are.
we bring the energy. And the only people that go on the road in this are the ones that want to chew up the scenery and don't want to waste a second of being out there, like Concetta. And I could name dozens, but you know what I'm saying, Larry. You know the ones that don't like
No,
to
and
see
I've always said to people, what do you want to sit back for when you only have 2 hours to perform tonight? I mean, that's the one thing that I just could not handle, is that the people that did not want to engage. And I think that you know it rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, it comes from one of either two things, either fear or incapable, because they showed up to be in the show as an actor, performer, whatever. But then if they don't do the job of that, they're there for just one line that they're saying, essentially in some cases for that laugh, then they're in the wrong show.
Yeah, I think that I have one benefit that you don't, because you have to be on stage. I can be in the audience and I can walk over to that actor and say, start working, which I often do.
Get to work, friend.
Larry, I have to admit, I have in character gone over to
probably do
many
that.
an actor and said, we need people on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Can't have you guys dancing with each other or just talking with each other. Get up from the dais table or whatever. And it's generally those are the ones that have done it too long, as you know,
That's true.
or just incapable. One of those two things, or scared. And I got fooled then. But I think mostly everybody else picks up the
Oh
slack.
yeah. It's the majority of people are so eager to be in this.
I was going to actually toot Tony's horn a bit and say that my experience since 2008, which is when I started to go on tour with Kevin and then Tony, is that Tony has a really, really easy and lovely ability to do what he's been talking about, which is make everybody instantly feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
And that vibe of leading with kindness is 100% what he does.
Thank you,
He
honey.
doesn't, I mean, you've never yelled. I mean, you've yelled because the music's been loud, but that's just a volume thing. That's not like yelling at someone. And it's so easy, just to get frustrated. No, this is not happening. Come on, let's go. But it's never that. It's always like, let's go back. Let's do it again. This is what you need to do. Try again. And it's always easier to create in that way. And it's easier to be fearless when you don't feel that judgment. You're already judging yourself so much. So if your director's like just giving you a thumbs up all the time, which is what he does, then it's so much easier to just dive in, as it were. So
Well, thanks
Yeah.
for that, honey. And
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's been my experience. I should say thank you to you. So thanks. No, but it's true. It's just
I love
part
you,
of
darling.
part of saying yes to tour is knowing I'll be there with you. You know what I
That's
mean?
beautiful. Thank you.
That's a huge part of it. Who's
Thank
leading
you.
this thing? Let me find out first, and then yeah, I'll be involved for sure.
Thank
Well-
you. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Been my pleasure, really. Thanks for asking me, Larry.
And now for something completely, well, similar. In this next segment, we chat with an actor who's about to be in the Milwaukee production of Tony and Tina's as Donny Dolce. Enjoy.
Welcome you to Tony and Tina's Wedding Podcast, Creating a Theater Tribe. And so happy that you're here, Micah. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
So we wanted to speak with you about the production that's going to be happening in Milwaukee.
Yeah, well, Wisconsin's always been very friendly to the Tony and Tina's world. And I think that because the show is not really well known in the Midwest, that whenever we are in the Midwest, people just flock to it. I had done the show in Chicago and we had a very successful 1.5 year run. Yeah.
So great. We first did Milwaukee, I think, in the year 2000.
Mm.
And
Okay.
we did it in a brewery because we did 2 seasons of a national tour. And Milwaukee was the last city. They have great ice cream or custard.
Great ice cream.
Which I always found myself drawn to those custard shops.
Partaking in a little spoonful of sugar.
Yes, absolutely. So you've performed there. Concetta, have you performed in Milwaukee?
Oh yeah, since 2009.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's such a beautiful city, really.
And the people are just terrific.
Yeah, they are. They're really nice. Micah, talk to us about the upcoming production. Who are you playing?
I'm playing Donny Dolce. He's the wedding singer. So sometimes if you get cast in a role, you look at the cast recording and you listen to the cast recording and you take their choices and you steal their inflections and things like that. But I had never seen the show before. So I remember when I first auditioned for the show, I really wanted Barry. Because at the time I'd only done singing roles. And in college, I had lost really good acting opportunities because I was like Micah the singer. Anyways, I went into the audition and I just realized I'm not answering your question at all, Larry. I just
That's
skipped
okay.
over your question
I forgot what it was
completely.
now. What is your IQ?
It's like a hot 12. It's like a sexy 12.
You said that you were playing Donny Dolce. And then
That's it.
That is an interesting story, though. I think I'm the only one who knows that story of your actual first ever Tony and Tina's audition. You should tell that story.
I was going to say,
wanna hear this-
backstory is everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gret. Do you want to hear the backstory?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's important to find out. So I remember I had a roommate who was gifted with the skill of gab. So I was sitting in front of my apartment bathroom And my roommate comes home and I go, "Oh, where were you?" And she was like, "I just got back from a callback for Tony and Tina's wedding." And I said, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool. What is that show?" And she explained it a little bit. And I was thinking to myself, God, I'd love to be in a show like that. And I said, I'd love to do that show. And my roommate goes, "Well, it's done. They already had callbacks. So, So when I'm told there's no chance, it can't happen, that makes Micah start spiraling ideas and thinking about how I can prove them wrong, how I can prove the system wrong, and how I can actually turn that no into a yes. I had a revelation. I Googled Tony and Tina's wedding, Joe Corcoran. I found his name, and I found his personal email, and I emailed him. And I remember starting to think, well, I should make this poem a haiku, because why not? So I said, "Hey, Joe, what do you know? I want to be in your show." And I sent him my resume, and he thought because it was so informal of an email that I must know somebody. I must be part of the clan of Tony Lauria because of the irreverence of what I was doing.
You were in New York at this time.
I was in New York at the time, yeah. I came here to work and act and do theater, but then I sold women's shoes, for crying out loud. To this day, I can look at someone's shoe and go, I think you're a 8, or I think you're a 9.5.
Pretty neat.
I knew Concetta was a 7 before I even talked to her.
Look at that.
So anyways, Joe got back to me and he said, "Hey, we're in the middle of a late stage of callbacks. Why don't you come on by to Ripley Greer, RIP, and audition?" And so I went in there and had my little printed out resume and went in and I auditioned for Barry. And after I read for Barry, Tony Lauria, who I didn't know at the time, asked me if I sing. And I remember trying desperately to no longer be Micah the singer.
Get away from that.
I said, "Yeah," just like that. And he goes, "Well, can you sing something?" And so I remember I never sang this before in my life, but I decided to sing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" from Lion King.
Oh,
I don't know this song, Gret. I don't know the song, Gregory. So I sang about maybe 5 measures from it. And at the end, I said, "Oh, you get the idea." And I stopped singing. And the whole room just went silent. Like it was the worst error you could make in an audition. And it was the worst audition I've ever had in my life. Worst audition, hands down. But there was something comical about the way that he was just destroying it, you know? And little did I know that that in turn was my approach at the wedding singer, Donny Dolce, who was just completely irreverent and inappropriate, oversexed, half drunk, half lit, and just there to hook up with somebody, or at the wedding to revive his career, essentially. And then I came in a week later and auditioned with Susie Campanero. I improv with Susie, had the room in stitches, and I got a call from Tony, and he was like, "Listen, anybody else would have kicked you out of the audition room, but I saw something in you." And in a way, he was totally right, because I think that one of the many things that I love about Tony Lauria is that he makes you feel seen and understood.
Yeah.
And he makes you feel like your silliness and your inappropriateness all fits in the family of Tony and Tina's.
Yeah.
That's one of the most beautiful things about the show is you can feel so lost for so long as an actor, but then you become a part of the show and you see that the show has really created so many performers. Not that the actors weren't already actors, but the show tends to create a performer out of you. And it tends to take these things that you're nervous about. Like for me, interactive dinner theater was an unnerving feeling because I come from the theater, musical theater, where there's a good separation between you and the audience. And you feel almost like an attractive fish in a golden glass bowl, and the people are watching from a distance and you feel safe and no one can hurt you. But then when you're 2 feet in front of someone and you have to just make something up, that kind of washes away all the doubt and fear that an actor can have, and it forces you just to create on the spot.
Yeah. And then from there, you went to Chicago.
Hmm.
How was that production there? How was that experience?
I loved it. Paul Stroley, who was in the original production in
Yes.
Chicago, he was Vinny. And Paul and I got along. He saw me in the production in New York. And so he asked me to come do the Donny Dolce and musical direct the show.
Wow.
And so I convinced him to do the show as very 80s themed. And that was the production that I think I am the most proud of, because it changed every weekend. The music changed. We always had people coming in learning new tracks. And so the show was truly never the same. Not that it is, but there was a sense of, what the fuck am I doing? That the actors would have.
It also became like the norm. Nobody was afraid of it after a while. Michael would announce that he was changing all 3 dinner set songs, and everyone would just be like, oh, okay, what's the cue? What are we looking for? Okay, great. It just became so natural to be changing like that I think Mike is getting at this. Is it changed the dynamic in a very, very positive and fun way, and in a very exciting way too. So, you can do that thing where you sit back a little bit in your role after you know it pretty well. And you couldn't here. You had to always really keep that ear open. You were really genuinely listening to make sure you were hitting your cues right and everything. And largely that was due to Micah's musical direction now.
Yeah.
So now this leads you to many off-site shows for Tony and Tina, and you're now going to be doing Milwaukee in May.
In May, that's right. For about 2 weeks.
I know that when we spoke with Tony, he said that there are some people who are doing the show who've done it before.
Yeah, we have about 4 or 5 returning people then, and I think he got some new people from Milwaukee, which is nice. It's always nice to get fresh blood in there.
It is. Yeah.
Michael, you've had the New York run and the Chicago run, which were good, healthy runs of the show. And you've done so many tours at this point. What's your preference? Do you prefer to have a longer run where you could really lean in and play around and develop a lot of stuff? Or do you prefer the kind of instant, like, make a choice, get on stage, do it, as like happens on tour?
I don't know.
That's his answer.
Right. Cool. So,
No.
Why not
I'm
both?
thinking, I don't want to bullshit the answer, Concetta.
I got you.
I think there is something magical to trusting yourself as an actor and just being thrown into a show with no rehearsal.
Right.
But when you do that for 10 years, you know you can do it.
Yep.
So then as a director, you want to find a solid performance out of yourself and your colleagues. And the show has a miraculous ability to take a no rehearsal production into a really tight run.
Yeah.
It just has to do with all the actors not waiting for permission, all the actors just embodying who they're playing and remembering it's a show, but it's a wedding. And everyone has their part in a wedding. Everyone has their selfish reason for being in a wedding, as quiet as it might be. And I think if you bring in smart actors who, even if they're new to the show, they still understand the blueprint of the show.
It's really nice to see that a place like Milwaukee still really appreciates the show. When we first did the show there, we did it in a brewery that was right on whatever river is there. It was a big open brewery and it was a great place. And I know that you're not doing it in Turner Hall this year. You're doing it in some other place, I think.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
It's some sort of old mansion that they've renovated into an event space on the bottom.
That'll be cool.
Oh, yeah.
Slight step up from the brewery, maybe.
Yeah, even though the brewery was our first like upscale kind of.
Oh, that kind of brewery.
Oh yeah, because Milwaukee is like beer city, right?
Oh yeah, Shamil Slamazel.
It was the only place on that tour because we did it in Atlanta at a Days Inn. Okay.
Ooh.
The ballroom, the Days Inn.
Only the best for our Tina.
Yeah.
Did they even have ballrooms at the Days Inn. But it was very steely and cool. I remember that. And it was a big open space. I prefer smaller contained spaces for Tony and Tina's wedding, but it always doesn't make sense for the number of people that are needed to be able to make a profit for the show.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I think when they have a smaller venue, when they do 8 shows, I think that kind of balances itself out.
Yes, it does.
When we were in Chicago, I think the max number was like 150.
Well, I don't mind if it's 150 and you put 160 in there.
Right.
That's better than
Mhm.
having 160 in a space that holds 400.
Right.
That's
On
it.
tour, Tony Lauria always makes sure there's a dais table. There's
Yeah,
always
it's
Oh, yeah.
important. It's
no matter
important
how
to
tiny the
have.
stage is, we'll be sitting up there like sardines, but it's the look, it's that visual of
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
supposed to be
It's
looking at.
I really like to have it.
And that was
Micah,
one of
have
my
you ever-
favorite elements because your table work was with your colleagues
Right.
Mhm.
while people were watching it. You didn't
Watching.
have to do your table work about and involve the other people necessarily. They could
Yes.
just
Yes.
sort of spy on you,
Yeah.
which was amazing. I mean, it was like sitting at the dinner table with all your cousins, messing around and letting people watch what played out. That was my absolute favorite thing.
I have no idea what anybody ever says to one another.
It's for
I
the
just
best,
I've never
baby.
I was
They're,
gonna
it's
say.
they're all, it's
We like it
secrets,
that way.
Larry. They're saying secrets.
I
Big
don't want to
dangerous
know.
secret. Micah, have you ever done Donny Dolce where you didn't have much of a stage? And what was that like?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. We did the show once in Chicago at one of those lounge. It was really small, and I had a corded microphone that only went 3 feet.
God,
So there were moments when I was into the corner like this, just singing like this. And I had to do my own cues too. So I had the little laptop to the side, and the laptop only stretched so far, 3 feet to the microphone. And that's when I truly felt silly. But then that's Donny. He's not Elvis, but he thinks he is. He's someone who would perform at a funeral home and look for snatch. You know, that 82-year-old's looking at me. Oh, funny
Oh, I'm
line.
sure he did.
But that's Donny, and he's kind of a disgusting guy, but that's just how I've played him. I've never seen him played by anybody else but Lauria, but
Yeah,
yeah.
he wasn't created in that way, but the show was created a long time ago. We could never go as far as you all go today at that time. I mean, everything that people have seen today allows the show to take a different shape.
Completely.
Yeah. When do you go to Milwaukee?
May 5, 6, 7 around there.
Micah, thank you so much for spending this time
Thanks,
with us.
guys.
Hey,
And,
Micah.
Yeah.
we look
Yeah.
forward to hearing more of your tales from Milwaukee.
Milwaukee is the place where it happens. So everybody, get yourself invited. TonyLovesTina.com. Come on down this May to Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Fitzgerald Theater and see what the magic is all about.
Tony and Tina's Wedding, Creating a Theater Tribe, is a production of Virtual Arts. If you like this episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us over on Instagram to see photos and archival materials related to the episodes. Join us next time for our conversation with the dynamic Donna and Dominic duo of James Altuner and Elizabeth Danahy.